guys. This is Conscious Conversations. I'm Leica here. My normal co-host T, she has went on to write and publish a book, and her life has just taken off, and she's had so many wonderful things happen in her life, which is so great, and we're so happy for her. So from now on, I'll be having random guests come on here. We'll still be picking random topics. So we don't know what we're going to talk about. It'll flow organically. And we just want to say thank you for joining us. And today my lovely guest here is my own very daughter, Marissa.
Hi, guys.
So, Marissa, would you like to do the honors to pick the subject that we're going to talk about today?
I'm excited. Woo. Gender.
Oh my.
We're gonna get controversial.
Yeah. Gender seems to be really controversial.
Very touchy
subject.
for some people.
Yeah. Now, I would say that every human being, this is most important for me, every human being has a feminine and a masculine element or energy within them.
I agree.
And I think it's really important for people to have that in balance. Mm-hmm. And I kind of see this whole gender uproar in our world. It can be seen as, and I've looked at it from lots of different views, of course, but it can be seen as a spiritual happening to evolve us out of the old ways that we have said, oh, this is what feminine is, and this is what masculine is. So we're redefining all of that.
Yeah, I think a big part of that is, well, first, men realizing that they don't have to be that hard, harsh, masculine, emotionless nothingness. That's not even masculinity. That's just cold, you know? And then there's the other side of it where women are realizing that we are way too masculine and that we are in that energy way too much, and we need to pull back and tap in to that juicy, soft, divine feminine that we don't often get to be. That it's just free and flowing and soft too, you know?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of confusion out there. Yeah. But as a species, we're navigating it.
Mm-hmm. I will say, and I'm very, what's the word I'm looking for?
Open-minded
and open-hearted to the trans and LGBTQ community. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to children, oh my God, it infuriates me to see parents just letting their children not know. And just be in this big question mark of oh, let them decide. Maybe they are, maybe they are. No, they are a child. They have a gender. Mm-hmm. And it's important that we back out of that. Because that's just a really weird gray area to be putting children in. There's so much for them to figure out in life. That let's just put that and figure that out for them.
Yes, that's so much that they shouldn't have to worry about. I think as a parent, it's your job to educate your child on, anatomy and things like that. And that's consent. A lot of parents don't have the confidence, in explaining, or they're not comfortable in expressing and communicating enough to explain to them the anatomy and the different, things like that. So I think that children should be able to explore, but with education,
proper education.
Yeah. I do know that since 2012, more men's hearts have been opening. And this is something to talk about because that seems to be a theme. A lot of men out there are putting on lingerie or exploring things, and they don't, because they're very confused on all the feelings that they're experiencing that they never experienced before, because of the generations and generations and generations of this is how a man should be. And now all of a sudden their hearts are wide open and they're going am I gay? Am I trans? Like, what's going on? And self-discovery. I mean, it always comes back down to the self. Self-discovery is the greatest thing you can do, and diving in who you are. And I think sometimes that the world can be so noisy and chaotic that people are listening to what's going on outside. And because there's this theme, it's very easy to just jump on bandwagons, right? And be like, oh, well, this must be what's going on with me. But the best thing you can do is go within.
Because everybody harnesses a feminine and masculine energy, so it's very easy to say, well, this is confusing. I think that's right.
Right.
But that's not always the case.
Yeah. But I also will say too, because I'm always duality, like trying to see, like if I hear something, I wanna think about the opposite because I want to see both sides, or try to see all sides, right? I think that there are people out there that have been, have had these feelings and they've had to repress it or had to hide it. So I want to, honor those ones who have had to face those trials and tribulations of being honest with who they really are, and facing the resistance, whether it's from their parents or their churches or the community. And but I think that the world has come really far, that everyone is like, do your thing, just don't harm anybody. For the most part, everyone is pretty accepting of allowing people to be who they want to be.
I'd say there's still definitely a population of people who are closed-minded.
Yeah. And we fear what we don't know.
Right.
So if people don't understand it or don't know, then they automatically feel uncomfortable and are resistant. Yeah. I don't, but like going back to the children thing, I don't think that, giving children hormones is a good idea, because how many times I've changed my mind about things, whether it's,
I change my mind like at least twice a day.
Yeah. I change my mind. What do I want to eat? Or, I found myself in relationships and I'm like, oh, I don't want to be in this relationship
immediately
anymore.
give me the ick, and I'm like, yeah, I don't find you attractive anymore.
Yeah.
I've done that.
Or I've gotten married and then been like, I want a divorce. I don't want to be in this anymore. So it's like, and we do that even as adults. So to put children to start affecting their biology when they're still just trying to figure out who they are as a human,
Yeah. Scary.
Yeah, and I think it causes even more confusion, and but yeah. So finding the balance, I think, is super important of your masculine and feminine energies. And I think masculine were, for so long, they were so unbalanced, and now that all this feminine energy is coming through them, they're like, wow, so they're having to deal with those things. And then feminine, like you said earlier, we had a large amount of women raising children as single mothers,
Having to play both roles,
yes,
as feminine and masculine.
Yes, and so they go to work all day, and they have to provide, and they have to
put on that harsh exterior, and then they come home and they have to play soft and nurturing.
Yeah. And maybe the disciplinary too. They have to do both with the children, but then they have to be more masculine in the outside world with the working, depending on what they do for a living, I'm sure. But yeah, it just, providing financially and providing safety and security. That's a lot. And I feel like because of that, we've lost a lot of the beauty of the feminine in our world. It's become such a man's built world, that I think that's what we really try to do here, is hone in on the more feminine arts, whether it's dance and paint and music and song, and try to bring those things back, because they've been so repressed or whatnot.
Well, and even men can be so repressed as to like not go to a yoga class because they think it's for women.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a woman's thing, but, and I think that's really hard for men to identify with, like, not identify, but to take on that soft feminine and not feel like they're betraying their masculinity.
Right.
You know, like, because for an example, like, for men that I know that come from very misogynistic fathers, to try and hone into that femininity, they like look back and they're like, is this okay?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Well, the programming has been so harsh,
Yeah.
you know? Don't be a bitch, you know, like, and yeah, it's
Well, and I think like the idea for my partner to dance is so foreign.
mm,
And like it's so healing. It's so like there's so many variations, like
well,
you know.
yeah.
And he's like, no.
Dance
so
can be hard
scary.
for both genders, though.
Yeah,
even
that's
for
true.
feminine, you know, if you're rigid or
I feel like,
uncomfortable or not comfortable
especially
in your
for
body,
for men,
yeah,
you do see that we have more females come to dance classes, and that's just we're lucky when we find that men do want to come.
yeah, yeah, because that programming has been so harsh. They've become rigid in their bodies. Their muscles are tight. Their hamstrings are ridiculous.
Way tighter.
Yeah, and they've been holding, you know, like their butts clenched for so long, you know, like, "Arr." And so to relax, we want to get them to relax. And
Well, what is it you always say in like teacher training about men having more pain in their cervical spine or something from carrying like the weight of the world on their shoulders, like they feel like they have to provide, or maybe that's just for in any case.
Well, yeah, any case. If you've got shoulder and neck, it's wearing the weight of the world on your shoulders. Yeah. Yeah. And this isn't easy to navigate. You know, and so I just try to learn from those around me, right? For the longest time, and I'll speak freely and honestly here, for the longest time, most of the gay people that I ever met were sexually abused. And so I thought, I wonder if there had been any research on, you know, the statistics, and maybe there is out there, and I should probably educate myself. But why is that, you know, a common coincidence, common thread seems to be, you know? And have we looked at that? But then, you know, yeah, I don't know. Like, and I don't walk in their shoes, so I don't want to say that I know what they've been through because I don't. And, but I wonder if that increases, you know, being sexually abused as a child, if that increases the confusion.
Yeah.
You know, because I feel like if that was what turned your body on for the very first time, that was your first experience, then you might believe that that's the way that your body feels, you know? And then the other opposite sex might feel foreign.
No one's fault but the own mind, the own brain, you know, like that's no one's fault but chemistry, you know.
Yeah.
Not chemistry, I shouldn't say that, but like hormones, you know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But I just wonder. But then now recently, I've met other people who I don't know everybody's personal information, and I'm not here to share anybody's personal information, but I have met more people that are more in a transgender category that I don't think have been abused. So then that has opened my mind to, you know, maybe that's the way I kind of wondered and was curious. But now I'm like, okay, so this is showing me evidence otherwise. So, but then I go back to, I wonder how much of that, you know, mass media, whether it's in your celebrities, whether it's in your tabloids, magazines, TV shows, music, you know, I don't know how much of that, even like political, seems to play a big part in the roles of who people identify as, right? Mm-hmm. And so sometimes I wonder how much of that.
Well, you have so many people that are like, and this is kind of off topic. Well, I'm conservative, I'm liberal, I'm Republican, I'm Democrat. And then that bleeds into even more.
I know. I know where you're going with this. Sadly, they think that because they're this, then they should believe like this and they should do like this, and they're letting these labels not only define them but also choose their belief systems for them, and then how they move and make decisions in the world. It's madness.
It is. It really is. And then, yeah.
Yeah. And in no way are we here to bash.
I just get really offended because I love being a woman.
Mm.
I love it so much. So,
And I feel like our gender
there's
is
something
being hated
it's so
on in so many
powerful to
ways.
be a woman. And when I get on TikTok and I see a bunch of these stupid fucking men dressing up, they're not women. They're not. They're dressing up as women to just play woman and see what it's like and experience it. Maybe it's a man's world.
Yeah, well, maybe they're jealous of
And
you.
it's
Maybe
so
they want to be
crazy
like.
to me, and I'm just like, you don't get it.
Well, and maybe
Maybe it's just an experience that they need to experience and like learn whatever, and they're just, everybody can temper and do things as they wish, free will.
if anything,
but-
maybe have compassion for them because they want to be like you.
Yeah,
They
it's just so weird because they look like the videos that I see. They look like a gym rat.
A gym rat?
They look like a gym rat, like a very masculine man that's just doing it as a joke.
Mm.
I will see very, very beautiful, like, trans woman and drag queens that are very, very beautiful and in very good character. But these men that I see that are like basically gym rats doing it as a joke.
Do you think they're making fun of?
I can't fucking tell, but I don't like any of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just different. It's different than trans woman. It's different than drag. Like, it's different. There's something about it that just doesn't sit right with me.
Well, and you have to think like so many people like want attention these days, and everybody's trying to be somebody that they're losing their minds and they're doing anything. They're almost like desperate for likes and views and
Social media is so fucking.
and they're willing to do anything to go to any lengths. And so yeah, it's hard. Yeah, and transparency is so important to me.
Transparency and vulnerability, those two together. I love those two together.
Yeah,
so important.
And that's the thing, though. So many people don't know who they are, so it's hard for you to know who they are because they don't even know who they are
Right,
themselves.
they're still figuring it out.
Yeah. Which, you know what? I have space. I can hold space for people trying to figure themselves out because
I can too, because I definitely I wake up some days still being young, and I'm like, it's still working at it as well.
Right.
know? But
We're all works in progress.
I like make an intention to be like, I'm gonna figure you out.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah.
Whereas other people are just like, pick up my phone.
Copy.
This is where it is. This is who I am.
Everyone's just copying. They see someone on YouTube or they see someone on other social media, TikTok or whatever, and then they just
like
copy it.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a world of facades and fakeness.
I like what Kelly said the other day. Authenticity is the new currency.
Yeah.
And
It is.
I resonate with that for sure.
It is.
Yeah.
And some of these people might be doing that to be more authentic. Right? So
It's kind of overplayed. I'm sorry.
right.
Some people are gonna get their feelings hurt.
Yeah.
But I love, it's from a place of love.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the most important thing you can do is figure out who you are. But I will say it does bother me, you see these competitions where like men identify as women and
like the
in the
Olympics.
swimming and stuff like that.
That doesn't seem right.
No, because
there's so much controversy, and sometimes I get on social media and it's like you'll scroll through your feed and there's a divide. There's people that are like, no, they're trans, they should be able to compete, and then the other people are like, wait, we have common sense. Like, we really don't think that that makes sense. Women aren't as strong, sometimes not as fast, like it's just biology. If a man tried to attack you as a woman, you wouldn't be able to defend yourself in most cases because men are just stronger. Anyway, so when you get into that, you're looking on your feed and it's just like, am I being distracted? Like, am I being distracted for one, but two, like, let's use common sense here.
Well, if we come back to nature and the way that a man is made and the way that a woman is made are different. And the men bring certain things and the women bring certain things. And it's just in the nature of the way that we're made, that everybody wants to just like delete that and forget about that. And I'm a big believer in you can be whoever you want to be.
Create your own reality, of course.
Create your own reality and all of that. But at the same point, like just even in my experience in yoga, men have more upper body strength. They can usually hop into arm balances like that. Where women have to build it.
Yeah, sometimes men don't have as much hip flexibility.
Right, and women are super, yeah.
There's so many differences.
Yeah.
And people just want to forget that.
Well, and I don't know if we're trying to put everybody in one box, but and that's like, that defeats the whole purpose of authenticity. We should all be in these different boxes. I don't know.
It gets tricky.
It does. It does.
And anything you say will hurt someone's feelings.
Well, we need to get over that.
I know.
The thing is, like, everybody wants to be free and do what they want to do, but oh my gosh, God forbid someone else have
something
a thought
to
or
say.
An opinion of their own. It's almost like, no, be quiet. And women have been repressed for so long, and men have too, but. It's almost like, what is the word? Misogyny? It's almost like a woman hating, even women hating women.
It's not like women want to get on here and say, oh, women support women. Oh, they don't. Like, we are trying as a species, but like, you can tell that there's a lot of competition energy whenever you make something happen in your life. Nobody's celebrating you. They're kind of just watching from afar.
Yeah.
And that's sad.
Well, and we have a lot of self-love deficits. So women who aren't loving themselves, they come into another woman's field and they're like, I want what you have, and I'm going to be better, I'm going to take from you, and I'm going to compete with you, instead of sister. We're sisters in this collective.
Right. We should grow together and learning from them and seeing what you can do to build whatever they have, and maybe they'll do the same from you.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Even like women who are in friend groups, you can see that it's not support and love. It's just kind of there's hate, more fake friends.
Yeah,
you see.
Yeah, women can be more catty and gossipy, and
so can men though.
Yeah.
So can men. Like, just so crazy.
Well, and I think that both men and women can care for children. We've proven that. Both men and women can go out and work jobs. We've proven that. But when it comes to our physiology, our biology, even, hormones are different, and we are different.
Like, you want to get real mad, like, and it shouldn't make you mad because it's just science, but we have our hormones on our monthly schedule where they're changing from luteal to ovulatory, and we get tired and we have energy for like 1 week because we're ovulating, and then we go back down and we just want to sleep. And men get to reset every day. Must be nice.
Well, yeah, and they were built for...
And it's a thief of joy, but
they were built for everyday life that we're all living.
And they can just go to work and have all of that energy.
Well, women have been pushing themselves because we're not honoring our bodies.
Actual ovulate hormonal schedule.
Yeah.
All it is. it's just in a hormonal schedule that we have to live by that we can't because we are living in a man's world.
Yeah. So we haven't been honoring who we are. We haven't been taking good care of ourselves. We've been pushing and trying to be men, and I would love it. And instead of this whole like confusion that seems to be happening on a global scale, I wish we would get back to let's redefine and honor what a balanced man is with, his inner feminine and masculine balance. What is that? And what does that look like? And then the woman, when her inner masculine and inner divine feminine is balanced, what does that look like? And again, it can be different for other people, right? Because we're all so different. It can be different for everybody. But, like for me, divine feminine woman is intact with her nurturing, soft, feminine, creative side, but she can also draw a sword and say, hey, I'm worthy and these are my boundaries. That would be more, and she can also be logical and organize things,
Agreed.
And inner divine or masculine for me would be someone who can be nurturing,
I think it's the same.
Yeah.
Organize, draw the sword.
Because men can be creative too.
Yeah, I think it's the same.
Yeah, when you're talking about energies, I think, yeah, same. But when you're talking about physicality, it's different.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
So
I don't know everything.
no,
I
and like
don't. And there's
the
so much I
people
don't
that
know.
think that they do are the worst because always be humble and always stay teachable because that's the worst.
Yeah.
It's the people that will watch things and be like, get so offended and think that they know it all and think that we're just clueless and we don't know what we're talking about. Well, and we're just coming from our heart and what we know and what we've learned.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the best thing you could do.
Yeah. And it's not my place to tell someone who they are.
Never. No, and
Never.
it's never ever someone's place.
No. And so
Or to tell
they need
someone
to
how to
just
live.
dive into that and discover that. But I think my biggest thing is I would encourage them to go within and decide that and discover that versus listening to the outside noisy world.
Right. And even when I come to you about like, oh, I need to have more knowledge. It's not always in the books and the podcasts as much as knowledge. There is so much great knowledge out there.
Yeah, you can learn a lot from that
It's
stuff.
great. It's great. But the true knowledge and the true you will come from in here.
Right.
From just
in here.
in here.
Yeah. Yeah. And we are in no means do we want to make anybody mad or upset.
No.
We don't want to trigger anybody.
No. That's never the case. We just want to share.
But I feel like sometimes people are lost, and when they're not seeking from within, they let other things outside of them define who they are. And if something bad did happen to them that has made them question that, then I would hope that they would, get the proper, therapy and education and self-study to really decide and define, and a lot of times I think when bad things happen to us, we don't want to face it.
Mm-hmm.
So we run the other way when maybe it's a matter of healing. I read somewhere in a book that women, for instance, if they have been molested, raped, sexually abused by a man, that usually this grows like a hate or resentfulness towards men. And that's why they end up going more of a lesbian route, right? And some women never come back from that. They hate men for the rest of their life. And some women will heal that. And when they heal that, they end up going back heterosexual. So it's a matter of healing that, but that's an emotional thing, right? But I think sometimes we think that it's a sexual thing when really it's an emotional thing that needs healing. Does that make sense? I read it somewhere in a book and it talked about that they will go with another feminine until they heal what they need to heal. And then once it's healed, then you'll see them go back.
Well,
and
and
it happens.
often, and it's heavy because for a lot of people, like they don't. It's a heavy and touchy subject to talk about, like your sexual wounds, and when you have that kind of wound for like a gender or specific people or person, you it can be like where was I going with this? I lost my train of thought.
Mm.
Um,
Well, I think it could be embarrassing.
it can be embarrassing and it can be something that you just like don't want to deal with, and then and where I was going with this, it came back. Train got back on
Good.
track. It's something that like you think that you're broken forever.
Yes.
You're like, oh, this is like something that's stuck, and it's not gonna be healed because it's inside, or it's a part of me now, and that's not true.
they
that's
feel
not
broken
true.
or tainted or unhealable, unfixable. And your sexual energy is your spiritual energy. So it not only cuts into you
So many
physically,
people don't know
emotionally,
that.
mentally, and spiritually.
So many people don't realize that their sexual energy is your spiritual energy. They just think it's like a biological thing.
Yeah.
And when you're able to heal that, you're able to heal so much more parts of yourself.
Yeah.
So just realizing that it can be healed is really important. Any wound,
Anything can be
any
healed.
wound,
Anything
any
can be healed. Now, I will say this, like grief. And this could be, similar, right? Grief is something that you may not like ever completely heal, like it won't go away, but you integrate it into who you are, right? So you move forward with, like, say you lost a spouse or a child or, and so you integrate and you move forward.
Well, just
like you almost have to die and rebirth. So I wonder if that's what happens. A lot of times these people who are sexually abused, they rebirth this new gay person or transgender person, or maybe that's a part of them healing and taking their power back. But at some point I hope that we can really look at we just need to stop child abuse. Like the child, I mean, this is a whole nother subject, a whole nother video, but the human trafficking, the child slavery, the child abuse, the molestation, more needs to be done about that. And that's what makes me mad about the system, is because you can molest someone.
85,000 children just went missing, like just a few days ago.
85,000.
85,000 don't just go missing.
No. Where?
It was a truck, like some sort of, yeah.
Like a semi truck full of children?
No, it wasn't like a semi truck. It was a.
Well, and human trafficking is a $50 billion industry a year. Okay. And then we have to look at
The Department of Homeland Security has allegedly lost 85,000 refugee children. You don't just lose 85,000 children. Homeland Security. Security.
That's not secure. That's not security.
Right. And so that made me that. Yeah.
Well, sometimes I wonder, I've heard that our border is being exploited, and I there's a lot of different beliefs out there, right? People believe this thing and then people believe this, right?
Well, the news won't talk about anything.
I've heard that people will send children because they want their children to have a better life, and there's people on the other end that are taking advantage of that, right? So, and then human trafficking, $50 billion a year industry. I don't even know what the porn industry is now, right?
Don't want to know.
It's a sickness, and everybody just wants to look the other way and not talk about it. then I don't want to talk about these atrocious things either.
No, you don't
But I
want to
don't
think
like-
about it. You don't. But
as a
it's
human
happening.
species, we're better than that.
Right.
And at some point, we should be looking at why is this going on and how can we stop it. So the system right now, like you can sexually abuse or molest a child and do 3 months of jail and then do some probation. You just ruined someone's life, really? But then you smoke some pot, or something,
Right,
and
right.
it's like, oh no,
or you're
so-
homeless. God forbid you be out on the street. Like
Yeah,
put you in jail.
So that's another area where, like, I feel like our system, we need to dismantle, the system that's not serving us. The repercussions for ruining someone's life versus smoking a joint. I think we need to reevaluate where our priorities and values are. The children should be protected 100% as a number one priority as a fucking country, as globally, as a human species.
Great.
And yeah. So, and yeah.
Ugh, I know.
This gets me worked up. The children should be able to run free in our world and be safe. And no mother should ever have to fear the safety of her child.
Well, it's just like how we were growing up in our childhood home. There was like a marked child molester down the road, and you were living in fear of me just riding my bike.
Well, yeah, even just the school system, they wanted you to walk in front of his house to get on the bus every day. And I called the school system and I said, he's a reported child abuser. I don't want my little girl
I was
walking
like 5 years
his house
old
every day to get on the bus. Can you, rearrange your bus schedule so she doesn't have to walk in front of his house? And they wouldn't do anything about it. And I thought, it takes a village, it takes a community to care. And if you guys don't even care, what are we doing here? That's when I pulled you out of that school system. I was like, just forget this. We'll go somewhere
Right.
else.
Right.
Gotta
start somewhere.
and I'm not to say that these people are villains. They're obviously wounded. Really, it's always the wounded ones will keep the pattern going, and it's about stopping the pattern and things like that. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to trust them with my child.
No.
I wish them well. I hope they find their healing. I hope they rehabilitate. I hope that they don't go around.
We're not like going to
Right,
wish
people.
anyone death, or
Right.
we're not going to say that child molesters deserve the death sentence. They need healing. They need so much help.
Yeah.
They need so
But they also,
much help.
I feel like they do need more repercussions so that they
No,
learn
for
their
sure.
lesson. Because I
For
think
sure.
the
The
system is
system-
set up.
So fucked.
Yeah, there's men that can just pay their way out of things. And then they just do it again. And they know that they can just keep doing it. As long as they just pay their way out, they can just keep hurting humans.
Yeah.
And that's
there's
where,
a lot of stories of just like white men raping girls in college and getting out right away
because they have an attorney.
sports or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fucked up.
You're going to get us banned off YouTube.
Are we not allowed to say that?
We're not allowed to cuss anymore on
Shoot.
YouTube.
You're gonna have to bleep me out.
Yeah, so, and we kind of meandered off of the subject. We went more into child abuse and things like that, but
So
is there
important.
anything else we should say about genders? So let's talk about the ones who don't want to be considered feminine or masculine. Where do you think that comes from? Not wanting to claim one or the other. I mean, there is like what they say in more spiritual terms, androgynous.
Extreme authenticity. I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and I wonder on a spiritual level if they're doing that to redefine.
just everything we believed.
Well, redefine the importance of what it is to be a human, period. instead of, oh, this is what it's like to be a man, this is what it's like to be a woman, and the battle between the sexes that have been going on for ages.
We're a being.
Yeah, we're all, a soul. If we can start looking at people as a soul instead of a man or a woman, and I think maybe on a spiritual level that's why that is happening.
I think that has to do with a lot of people, and I can resonate with those people for sure, because I hate labels.
Yeah.
I hate labels.
Yeah.
When you identify with being like, oh, I'm bipolar. Oh, I'm Republican. Oh, I'm bisexual. And oh, I'm into.
Is it removing that, or is it adding another one? Because I feel like it has added another one. It's added just another label. So
being
because it's usually they, right? So if we could just say, I'm a human, but even that, I mean, as we go through disclosure and everybody learns about ETs and extraterrestrials, then
or so many parts, like Earth, so many parts, different animal,
yeah, or just let's get back to calling everybody by their name. But then you have the pronouns he, she, when you're talking. And I've tried to do that, replace the name, where you're like Marissa and Marissa and Marissa and Marissa. And it is difficult because I'm so programmed to say she.
Yeah. I mess up, but a lot of.
And it almost sounds silly. Like if I were writing a book and I just kept saying the name. I don't know. I don't know. Again, I don't know all the things. I like to think about all the things, though. I like to figure things out or try to figure out.
Perspective, lay it all out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I honor each individual soul. I respect, their journey and what they've been through and how they've gotten to where they are, right? And everyone's journey is also different. Mm-hmm. But I also know what it feels like to be lost and wounded too.
Right.
And it is our sole responsibility to do our own healing, no matter what happens to us. Even the most atrocious things that have happened to us. No one can heal us, save us. It's our job.
Yeah, I was just watching something the other day that's like, the real superpower is to forgive the most unforgivable.
Mm.
Because then you're truly free. Your heart is free.
Yeah.
So think of the most unforgivable thing someone's done to you. And if you can forgive them and what they did, then you're our superhero.
Yeah. They even say as souls, we sign up. We sign up for certain journeys to refine and cultivate our path, or to teach us the lessons, or maybe even karma sometimes, right?
Right. Some people's, yeah. I fully believe that we had to go through the childhood trauma that we went through to be here and know what we know and learn the lessons that we had to learn.
Yeah.
So that we could do something much bigger.
Well, a good example is someone who's always had everything handed to them and had a super easy life versus someone who had to work and go through really hard trials, tribulations. It really does add character, because if you look at the two different personalities, it's usually the person who's went through things that has more depth.
Well, they just felt more.
And more empathy and more, their actual personality and character has been refined and cultivated versus.
You can watch so many movies, but you actually go through those things and feel.
It's going to be more authentic.
Yeah.
Where over here is going to be more imitation. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. We're still learning too. We're learning.
Mhm.
But I do worry about little kids, because some days they might be cowboys. They want to be cowboy. And then the next day they might want to be an astronaut or,
Right, and I love, and I'm always like I see a lot of the posts from my girls on Facebook that are moms, and they're like, if my son wants a Barbie, let him have it. And I'm like, yeah,
yeah. Let him have a Barbie. Let him play with a baby. Someday he's going to be a dad.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that makes me so mad.
And it does make me mad that the little girls are supposed to have like kitchens and vacuum sweepers.
Right, and the boys what? They just get big old
They
trucks.
get tools and
They get big old trucks and tools, yeah. But
it's inspiring to see women with screw guns and doing these cool things.
right,
And
I
it's
love
inspiring
that.
to see men take on taking care of children and cleaning
It was-
houses.
I remember even growing up, like in my era, it would be so weird for boys to play with baby dolls.
Mm-hmm.
That's gay.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, that's fucked up. That's where we screwed our. Sorry. That's where we screwed our men from the start. Not letting them play with baby dolls. Now you got all these abandoned fathers.
Right. That could have led to that because then they were like, well, it's not my
to
job.
play with the baby.
Yeah.
The small part of it. There's a lot to it, I'm sure.
Well, I in knowing that we go way back. I mean, they're proving that, people have been around 500,000 years, our history as a human species is ancient. We've been around for a long time. And there's even belief that there's certain energies or traditions or families that have been wanting humanity to go in a certain way, like trying to direct us, And yeah, I mean, I could see how we taught the men to be like this, and we taught the boys to be like this. And now, then we had this big thing where all the men and boys were gone from the family, and the women were raising. Now we've had the boys who grew up in the single mother that are, okay, I can raise kids. And sometimes they end up with women who take off and don't take care of the kids,
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so I know that we're evolving but I don't know, like there's something in me that's like, oh, okay, we know what works and what doesn't work. Why can't people just get on board and do the things that we know works and stop doing the things that we know doesn't work? But it takes some people longer to figure those things out.
Well, and for some people, they're probably like, this works for me.
Yeah, but then we have our selfish agendas, right? Where people are like, "Oh, this works for me personally," and instead of this works for all.
Well,
or
that
collective.
and like the people that are just content, like that are just
yeah.
like, this is good.
Yeah,
I've been through enough. I'm fine with this.
yeah.
I don't know.
There is no saving the world, is there? It all is
You
just
throw little pebbles and make little tiny ripples in the water.
Yeah, and it starts on the individual.
Until we get a speedboat, and then we're like,
yeah. But that's an interesting topic. Wow.
yeah, I didn't expect that.
I did not expect that either.
I was expecting like meditation, frequency, 3D to 5D.
Yeah.
Something more like expansive.
Yeah, this
you
is
know?
controversial for sure. There's so many.
Yeah.
And some people feel really strongly.
Well, and it's so funny because there is such a divide that is created
on purpose.
that me and her, you and me, have literally argued about LGBTQ, trans communities. We've gotten into no, it's this. Well, no, it's this. And you should think this. Well, you should think this. And
our views and ideas.
and so it's just being open-minded and compassionate and not hateful.
Well, yeah, and be able to have those conversations without.
Yes, be able to have those
arguing.
conversations without like reaching to that level of like, oh my god, you're fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I know you said it 5 times. But like, there is a like hive mind. There is a like, there's an agenda there to get everybody to think the same, and I think that can be a road to destruction.
I think more and more people are waking up to that. I see people talking about how like there's a lot more shit that the media is not telling us, talking to us about.
But they're distracting.
But we can get on here and talk about how expensive Beyonce's outfit at the red carpet was, and go on, and
it's a distraction.
All distractions. Or Johnny Depp's marriage, his divorce.
Oh yeah, that got so much publicity.
All
while
of
the
that.
Ghislaine Maxwell case.
Well, probably more children went missing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
I think more and more people are waking up to the fact that there is a agenda. There's something that's being pushed, and we are not seeing what is really happening.
Yeah.
And once people see that, they'll understand that we shouldn't be having these big arguments over whose opinion and truth is actually truth, because everybody lives their own truth, and really we should just be looking all the same direction, asking a lot of questions.
Yeah. Now I will say this. I am excited, and everything happens for a reason. So I know that as weird as things get sometimes, some of this is really beneficial, because I think that more corporations are setting themselves up to not be gender ignorant. You know what I mean? They're opening up more to, okay, we're not going to treat you this way because you're a woman or a man,
and that is awesome.
We're gonna treat you like we're gonna treat the next person. It's more equality.
Can we fix that wage gap too while we're at it?
That should have been fixed first.
Right.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Women have went to college. Women bring different things. Yeah. I don't know. I'm glad it's not my circus, not my monkeys.
Right. Yeah. Misha's wanting in here.
Yeah.
She's like, what are you guys doing in here without me?
Yeah, she's like, I want to be on camera.
She's a diva for sure. She's really jealous.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and close this up. And you guys feel free to put your comments, in the comment section.
We can bleep out all my curse words. YouTube doesn't take this down.
And if there's anything you want to share, we'd love to hear your stories and your experiences. We're always willing to learn more. We just want to be able to talk about these subjects freely and openly, because I feel like the more that we talk about these conversations, the more that we talk about these subjects or topics, the more we raise awareness and the more we learn together, and we're learning too. We're not here to just be all like teachy and press our values and opinions onto others. We're open to learn as well. And the more we learn, the more we evolve, the more we grow, the better we can do together as a species. So, but it's good to talk about.
It's fun.
Yeah, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys so much. Take care.